Good morning, everybody, and welcome. It is Wednesday, the 12th of May. My name's Jenny McCormack, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in Brackley in Northamptonshire, which is in the centre of England in the UK. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't joined me before and this is your first time, then welcome. It's always lovely to have new people join us and add any comments or ask any questions as we go along. I'm just going to actually open my blind. I shut the blinds because it was so bright, but now that's looking a little dark. There we go. So we have lovely weather here today. Morning Katie and morning Monica. So yesterday and all week and the end of last week we've been having fun with the hand penned petals stamp set. So this is what we created yesterday, and obviously it's a get well card, but the theme was using watercolours yesterday. So I used our ink refills and our water brushes like so to do some simple watercolouring after I'd stamped the images. Hello Kerry. So it came out really well. I was really pleased with it, and it does make a really quick card. Once you've done the stamping, I had stamping stays on ink to make sure it didn't blend. You can use Memento ink as long as it's completely dry before you start watercolouring. So I love the effect that we got with that yesterday. One of the things that I did, excuse me, was create a sample. Just turn this one round. And this was just my practice one. Isn't it funny how practice one suddenly can really come to life? So I was just practicing to see how it would work with that combination. And so what I've done is I've cut this with our rectangle dies, and I mentioned this yesterday. So I've created a frame, and in the frame then I can put another design or just a nice sentiment and have it framed. And then I've got this piece here that I can use in its own right on excuse me, on a different card. So I will get those finished. Today we're going to do some paper piecing using one of the detail dies that comes with the stamp set. So this creates a really pretty outline like so. The outline does match the stamp itself, so you could stamp the outline of the stamp, not colour it in, and then pop this design on top. But what I've decided to do today is an old technique called paper piecing, where you have an outline and then you fill in with different colours. So this could be different pieces of designer paper. In this case I've got an outline in Highland Heather, and I've actually used Purple Posy for the inline because I just picked up some scraps. Purple Posy of course is now sadly retired. So what I want to show you is how I created that, and then I used the outline die after I'd stuck it to a piece of black card to create that. And my plan is I've die cut a piece here with the new contours dies, and so I'm going to layer this up and pop that onto a card. I might make a larger card and put two on, I'm not quite sure at the moment. Right, let's see who else has joined us. Okay, so hi Jeanette, thanks Monica, and good morning to you Carol. So what I'm going to do is cut out. So the good thing about this is that you get, if you cut out a dark and a light or two contrasting colours, you will you can paper piece the alternate pieces. So I've got light on dark, and then you can have dark on light. So you get two effectively from your two die cuts. To make this easier and to avoid using glue, wet glue that tends to go everywhere, I'm using our self-adhesive sheets. So this is basically double-sided sheet of glue, and I'm going to be using this scrap here of Purple Posy. So I'm just going to put that on there to know that I've got the right sort of size, and I have. So what I'm going to do is stick this to one side of my card. So the nice thing about our sheets is they come off in smaller pieces, so you don't get too covered in glue. Like so. It doesn't matter if there's a little gap there or anything. What you don't want to do is have this sheet overhang the piece behind, otherwise you'll get glue attached to your die cutting machine. So what I'm going to do is turn this over, put this die on the top and run it through the cutting machine, and that means that when this comes out it will have sticky pieces on the reverse ready for attaching. Okay, I can just see a little bit in there that I'm going to poke out. Now, because I've got the extra layer with the self-adhesive sheet, I am going to just roll it through the machine a couple of times. Some tiny little bits in there. Just going to get rid of those. I think that's all. Okay, so I'm going to put this on, obviously on the other side. So that's the correct side it's going to be cutting. So this is saving me putting glue on the other side. I'm just going to run that through quickly. Bear with me. Place that up on there. There we go. That should do it. So now if I turn it over, you can see where it's got the die cut coming through. So what I'm going to do is place this down and carefully poke out these pieces here, because if I wanted to do another one, then by putting them down you leave them in the correct place. I don't know if you can see them here if I just move these up. Okay, so these are ones that I cut out earlier that came from this frame. So what I want to do is lift this and poke these out so that the large pieces are roughly in place. I'm not going to fiddle with the tiny pieces, but I'm sure there are crafters out there that would. Okay, so can you see the majority of the flowers there are intact? If I just lift this up like so, they're already in the shape ready for my next one. Okay, just going to pop these other bits out. So what I have now is a frame in the lighter colour. Just going to pull that off like so, and just pop out the odd pieces that are here. So even with the self-adhesive strip, they come out nicely. you can choose whether to poke out those tiny little pieces or not. It's quite effective against the black, which is why I've left those as is. So this would also be fun to do in 3 colours, for example, so that you could have these flowers in 3 different colours. So it's called paper piecing because basically you piece the paper layers together. There we go. They tend to stick in a bit more because of the self-adhesive sheet holding them together behind. Okay, that will do. That's my outline. That's just a piece of backing paper. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is strip off the self-adhesive sheet from the back. She says. It's quite easy to find the split and do it that way, Jenny. There we go. So peeling that off, and that means that this is all nice and set with adhesive, and it just prevents that whole laying the glue down and getting covered in little bits of glue. There we go. And taking that off also tends to take out those tiny little bits. So all I'm going to do is just place this on some black card. You can see a couple of bits there that I'm going to pop out. So this technique has been around for ages in lots of different ways. You can do it with punches, with dies, you can do it fussy cutting, all sorts of different ways. Let's get that one out. Tucked in there. Okay, so that's our base layer down, and what we can do now is piece the alternative colours back in. Now what I tend to do is piece it with the larger bit here and then die cut it, because when you die cut it then it ensures everything is embedded inside. Let me just update. No, the sticky back is just is the self-adhesive sheet that I added to the back of the piece here, but you could do this with that lovely linen paper, which is really like fabric. It's the best description I can have. So you could use that. That would be really effective. And in fact, if you did some blending using your blending brush over that, you could get a really pretty coloured effect, and then paper piece that. That would be stunning. So good morning, Christine. Oh, bless you, Kerry. Good morning, Lynn, as well. Sorry, I hadn't spotted you. My phone doesn't update. I have to keep pressing it manually. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is take these small pieces. Now, I appreciate you can't see these in detail, but it's fairly obvious to work out which piece goes where. And if you leave them in the position at which you poke them out, you'll find it even easier. So all you need to do is peel off the back, find, so it's a bit like doing a puzzle, find the gap that matches, and then put them all back in. Now as I said, I don't do the tiny little pieces, but I'm sure there will be some crafters that would do that. So I'm just going to pick out the main flowers here, and the big pieces are really easy to handle. Obviously you have to be careful when you get to the tiny little ones. This has got the edge right on it where the strip came off. There we go. Where's this one gone? There we go. So I say you could, it would be really fun to cut this out in 3 or 4 colours, excuse me, and do it that way. So you could, and so what I would do as a trial is cut this out in black and then have some really bright colours for these 3 flowers. That'd almost be like canal art, wouldn't it? And it's a really pretty die in its own right. Okay. Excuse me. So very therapeutic, but I would say you need good light to do this. I've just pinged that somewhere. And patience. Let me do these larger ones. And a fairly steady hand, only because you're handling small pieces. Get that piece off. So you can see how that's coming together. Let's see. This was the one I dropped. So I hope everybody is well today. We had a great team meeting last night. Really good fun. Doing some mystery stamping. There we go, that's the main ones. And then I've got this little one here. So sorry, this is a little bit boring for you to watch, me just picking these up, but I wanted to show you from scratch. I could have had one ready Blue Peter style, couldn't I, really? So I definitely think I'm going to try one with a black outline and multicoloured inserts. There we go. This one. So don't know if anybody does this, has done paper piecing for a while. It's a good old technique, been around, as I say, ages. Made a lot easier with dies, obviously, because you've got the pieces cut at the ready. Must be one here under my finger now. So it definitely helps to leave your flowers in the order that they came out. Obviously mine have moved around since yesterday. There we go. And I've got one last one, which is not that one. It's not that one. Okay, I'll hunt that one out later because it's probably here. Let me just move these over out of the way. Okay, so I definitely recommend using the self-adhesive sheets because the chance of getting some of these tiny ones in with glue, apart from having glue on a sponge or something, but then I think they would stick to the sponge quite a lot. Okay, so, oh yes, stamp on DSP, that's right. Oh, good morning, Jill. Katie's never tried it. Oh, thank you for your bless you comments. So it's a really really fun thing to have a go at. As you say, you could do it with DSP. So typically, if you had a girl with a skirt, for example, you'd stamp the girl with the skirt on your card, stamp the girl with the skirt on the designer paper, and then cut out the skirt part and fill it in. So it just saves some colouring, for example. Okay, so I've now got the outline for this, which fits perfectly. So this outline cuts the stamp shape itself, but it's also perfect to give this another outline. So I'm just going to whiz this through, and it also makes sure that those pieces are really well secured. So excuse me 1 minute. Go. So you get a really stunning effect. Not quite sure which one I like best. I like them both. Obviously I need to find this missing piece, which I will at some point, from my layers in the dark purple. Okay, so now let's make this into a card. Let me bring this up so you can see in a bit more detail, like so. With the black outline, it reminds me very much of canal art. Okay, so I've got a layer from my new colour contour frames, and I popped it through an embossing folder, which has got some really pretty little flowers on. It's called Ornate Floral. I hope you can see that. Just thought that'd be a nice balance against the black, like so. And I haven't quite decided. I could layer it onto black and onto a larger card, or I might just pop it onto a note card, because I do quite like that in its own right. You could obviously add combinations of these onto a bigger card. That would also look really pretty. But I think I'm going to do a just a simple note card with these. Let me grab those. So I've got a white one here. So I'm thinking that this would layer size for size quite nicely like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this one to size, and in fact what I'm going to do, the cheats way of doing this is just to lay that down and then trim the other two sides. Make sure that this is a nice tight right angle, you know, so it's correct and you're not using an offcut that's slightly one-sided. So the cheats way, rather than measuring this and then measuring your other piece, is just to stick this piece down and then use your trimmer to cut the two edges. So that's what I'm going to do with this. And this is embossed, obviously, so you want a nice good glue for attaching that. So either our Seal or Seal Plus. You could use tear tape, our double-sided tape, but you want a good connection to the card base, especially for this. You can hear how rough that is on the back. Oh yes, yes. Oh, it is like marquetry, and there was something else I was thinking it was like, and I can't remember. There's a name for it where you um, have opposing colours. There we go. So all I'm going to do is grab my trimmer and then just do this by eye. So this is the cheats method without any measuring, like so. I'll take a sliver off that actually. There we go. Okay, oops, Stacey. So my plan is to pop that onto there, this onto here, and then I think this would be perfect for a piece of black card with a sentiment heat embossed in white to make it really stand out, rather than adding white just on its own. So let's layer these up. So I'm just going to fold this. This is our note card from our note cards and envelopes. So you have a pack of 20 cards and envelopes. I really do recommend these, especially for beginner crafters, because you haven't got so much of a space to fill. And also they're a nice size to send to somebody for you know, just thinking of you, that sort of thing. Let me see if this pattern has got a right or a wrong. I don't think it has. Just going to use my Seal Plus for this, like so. I'm obviously in a purple phase, but I think that's because I just had some purple yesterday and I just looked in my purple scraps. So Tracy would be happy if Tracy's here, and Jeanette, because I know that they both love purple. Okay, so I think I'm going to do this one because it's got the contrast closer to the lighter colour, so it stands out better, whereas this one is a little bit more subtle. So I'm going to pop that on there. I'm going to pop that up with dimensionals, and then I'm just going to pop a sentiment onto here. Let me see, sentiment. I might just use, so I used this one yesterday. I could use this thank you on here across the bottom. I did get well soon yesterday, didn't I? So let's try that. Just have a look for size, because I think that would sort of fit in nicely one way or the other. Oh, sun's come out again. Right. Let me grab the right embossing powder. So white embossing powder, not heat and stick. And embossing buddy, and I'll grab my heat gun. And my Versamark. There we go. Sorry, I hadn't planned to do this, but I think it will work really nicely. Oh, it's purple is Sue's favourite colour as well. Hi Sue. Sue's joining us from Australia. Right, okay. That's all operating. Okay, let's move this out of the way for the minute. So I've got a little piece of black. I might just cut round this. I'm not quite sure. Let's have a look. Rather than do it on a die, because we've got quite a lot going on in terms of patterns. So I'm just going to use my embossing buddy. Oh yes, crazy quilting. Oh yes, just referring to your comment, Christine, yes, about canal art because of the black, but also, yes, paper piecing, as I think it was Jeanette who mentioned it with DSP. Okay, so this is in a bit of a state, isn't it, this one? I wonder how old this one is. But doesn't matter because you can just keep re-inking them. We sell the re-ink for the Versamark. So I'm just going to place this like that. There we go. Pop the lid on. So I wonder what everybody else is up to this afternoon or this evening, depending on where you are. So I've just spread the powder over the back of that. Just flicking that. I can see a tiny little bit there. I didn't do a very good job of embossing that with my embossing buddy, but never mind, it will do. I can always redo it. Okay, so I'm just going to grab my heat gun and heat this up. I'm actually going to do this away from the surface because I don't want to blow all these tiny little pieces to oblivion. There we go. So I've got my white embossed thank you. So let's pop this together. So I think what I'm going to do is just cut around that with scissors. Like so. Just leaving a little border. I'm just going to have a look at how to lay this out. So that feels like it's the wrong way up if I do it that way. So I could put that in the center and my flower like that. Take these pieces out of the way. Or I could put that to the left. I'm going to do that in the middle. I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals just for a little bit of added height. So we've got our background, we've got a layer, we've got our texture, so that's meeting all the requirements. And I've got some black dimensionals here, which are perfect because you won't see them underneath. Just going to pop 3 on here. This is quite sturdy because it's got the 2 layers, well, 3 layers of card on it, so it doesn't need a huge amount. Oh right, let me have a look and see. Oh Sue, I saw your photograph of your new craft desk. It looked fabulous. It really did. and setting up everything. Yeah, that's the bit that takes the time, isn't it? Oh, excellent, Jill. And Christy says, I like lilac more than full-on purples. Yes. Yes, it's just a little bit softer, isn't it? But I can understand why people would like purples. I'm just going to cut this edge here of my black dimensionals, and then that works perfectly on there. There we go. Doesn't look very straight, but it might be the way that I've cut it. There we go. And of course we need to add some bling, and the ones that I discounted yesterday I can use today. So I'm going to use these lovely deep ones here. Let me find my pokey tool again. So these are our pastel pearls. And because I've got the height here of the dimensionals, these will sit nicely under that. 2 and 3. There we go. So just after 10:30. So there we have it. So very different from yesterday's watercolour, which was this one here. So that's what you need to go back and watch if you want to, Jill. So yeah, paper piecing using the dies, and these dies are the ones that go with obviously the hand penned petals, but there's nothing to stop you doing this with any sets of dies where you have components that come out from the dies. So I think, as I said, I am going to have a go with a black outline with some bright colours, maybe our new polished pink inside, and another, introduce 3 colours in there. I think that would be really stunning. So that I'm going to do, and also I'm going to finish off my frame to show you. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your lovely comments and questions. Thank you, Kerry. Thanks, Jeanette. And thank you, Christine. So Sue, good luck with putting your craft room back together again. So I will be back again tomorrow, that's Thursday, at 7 p.m. to do more with the hand penned set. I'll give you a little sneak peek as to what I'm going to do. This is just my practice one, and that is use just the infills for the flowers. So this is what I practiced on, had a go with on Sunday at our craft and chat, which you're welcome to join. Just using the infills rather than the detailed stamp to create some different flowers. So I'm going to do a one sheet wonder with that, just a small one, and then cut that up. So that's tomorrow's plan. So thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, whether it's evening or a full day ahead. Look after yourselves, look after your loved ones, and I hope that you are able to keep crafting and have a great day ahead. Thanks for spending time with us today. Take care and bye for now. Bye bye everyone.